Hey guys. Now, today I'm gonna pretty much be talking about what you might call cartoons, but technically they're more of like educational programs. In fact, back when I was growing up, I used to watch these and want to watch them more because they gave me education. Now, the reason I'm talking about this for you guys now is because many of you guys have, say, a bunch of kids at home, and pretty much since summer's coming up, we gotta make sure to educate them when they're in the summer. Otherwise, they're pretty much gonna lose a lot of a memory and such, or not get, or pretty much we don't want them to actually watch these idiotic cartoons nowadays. Which, yeah, no, I do not want to actually. If you see our future generation go from great to good to bad in like 3 seconds. So yeah. Now, one of the first shows I'm gonna start you guys off on is none other than, well, Liberty's Kids. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Liberty's Kids, it's technically a series that is technically supposed to be based in the era of the American Revolution. Now, this series is pretty good if you catch my draft, but if you guys are wondering what era does it take place during the time in the American Revolution, it technically takes place from the but sometime after the Boston Massacre and ends sometime after the American Revolution. In other words, sometime after the Articles of Confederation are abolished and such. Now, you follow three types of kids through the entire war, who technically are supposed to be journalists. Which, there's James, if I remember, which is correctly the yellow-haired guy, and then there's Omri, who is the French one, which technically is the youngest, and then there is, technically, if I remember correctly, your name was Samantha, if I remember correctly, or maybe I'm mistaken it for someone else. Either way. The series does actually give an educational view on the war, and as well, it actually shows many famous people such as Lafayette, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, the Founding Fathers, and as well, it also discusses major facts in history that people have forgotten. In fact, it even shows, like, say, the eras in which colonialization was pushing forward in the American Revolution, or as well a bunch of other reasons. Now, they do have the opposing view thing in history, such as, like, what time that, like guys might wonder, what about Benjamin Arnold? Well, yeah, he's in here, and which a lot of you guys probably say, the hell with the traitor and such. Well, yeah, but they show the view on why he became a turncoat and such. Speaking of turncoats, they also do show some spies and such like that. Now, as well, they do show some famous parts in history that are technically forgotten. Such as the pretty much attacks in British waters by American forces, and as well, some of them are actually even relating to a group of Hessians. If you guys don't know what a Hessian is technically another term for a German mercenary group who fought on the side of the British, which you will see them in there. Now, don't get me wrong, the thing about this is the show is pretty historically accurate despite it being for a kid's show. Yes, this is a kid's show, and you guys might be wondering, wait, when was this out? Where did it come from? You guys might be saying, oh, did it come from Cartoon Network? No, it did not come from Cartoon Network, nor did it come from a History Channel. It actually came from what we might call a W2 or Channel 4 Kids. In other words, Channel 4 before the news time and Saturdays. This, I would technically get up very early in order to watch. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have the fricking slavery, I know, but as well, they do show the horrors of war. Well, horrors of war. They technically show the battlefields, but they don't show the deaths. Well, you know what I mean. They don't show them blood and gore and such. which is kind of impressive. Now, they do show a lot of other historical people in history that are also based in Native American culture and also in British. In fact, this type of thing is not just based in the American viewpoint, but as well in other viewpoints of history. As well, it's kind of also hilarious, come to think of it. But yeah, this is technically probably one of my favorite shows when I was growing up as a kid, but if you guys are wondering how long did this last, well, it just lasted up for the American Revolution. In fact, this technically was supposed to be out during the same time, if I remember correctly, around the time of the Patriot movie, so that might be what inspired it, not to say. Either way. But if you guys are also wondering on who created this, this is probably the messed up part. It's created by the same people who created the show The Boondocks. Yes, I hear you, that doesn't sound like a good idea for a kid's show. Well, this was created before The Boondocks came out, so yeah, it's sounding a little bit better. But yeah, you get the point. Okay, now let's go into the other groups that I have pretty much viewed in my past, in which technically they're pretty cool. Now let's go on to a show called Grossology. Grossology, you guys might wonder, is that a type of show I want to show my kids? Well, this is actually back when it was Discovery Kids. Now you guys might wonder, what was Discovery Kids? It was technically the channel that was actually on before the Hub, and the Hub replaced Discovery Kids because Discovery Kids wasn't getting that much attention. And technically that's what led to the downfall of education in that one channel. The Hub went down immediately, like about 5 years later, and Discovery Kids was actually on for, if I remember correctly, for 20 years more, in which, not a big surprise. In fact, they even had pretty much a lot of famous people in the, that we might know about, such as, well, we all remember what happened to the Australian that got a stingray to the chest, if we all remember. But yeah, Grossology is not like what you might think. You guys might wonder, wait, what's Grossology about? Well, it's actually talking about the things that are gross. Now you guys might wonder, wait, how is this educational? Well, how should I put this? This shows the idiotic things that we take for granted, like say it's just algae, guano and such, and they talk about it in the show. Literally, they talk about it through the show from point A to point B, every episode, on like how this stuff is good and how it is not good. In fact, they even had a episode once on head lice, on how dangerous they are. Plus as well, they also show, in fact, some of these characters are just as stupid names, such as Lance Boyle, which is idiotic. Pink Eye, which that one was probably one of our one of the later versions of the tunes. But there was also Sloppy Joe and such like that. There were a lot of characters. But now, they showed the gross things in it, and as well, they also made the thing funny for kids. In fact, they kind of made it a little bit more fun to watch, actually, which actually is kind of cool. As well, they even talk about this, a lot of these messed up things, such as the colon and such, and all these things that can help out. Now you guys might wonder, wait, how can this help out my child? Well, if you want your child to, say, know what's wrong with his colon, such as how he can unplug it, yeah, technically there are different shows. This show technically talks about every episode. They actually have a different type of form on which each type of gross thing is used against each other and how you can combat against it. And now they even had one about athlete's foot, which, ugh, to thank you. But yeah, this group was pretty good at their job. In fact, they actually got a lot of cool things about it. There was pretty fun things to watch about it. Now they also talk about termites. Now if you guys are also wondering, does each villain have his own type of power? Well, yeah, there was a woman who controlled bugs. There was Sloppy Joe, which I think he was just concerned about sloppy stuff. I don't even know why. But there was even one guy called Fartor, which, yes, the name sticks with what he sticks with, and that would be farting. But as well, there are some other things in this series that have other type of bases in there, such as hagfish and a couple of slimy, disgusting things. They even have snot. And pretty much we all might wonder, why do we get this stuff and what is it used for? Well, let's show your kid this and they'll learn a lesson. Okay, moving on. Now this type of show is kind of the weird ones, but it was kind of an early version type thing of education, and it was called Kenny the Shark. Now Kenny the Shark is not what you might think of what it is. It's actually describing animals this time. You get to learn on animals themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, Kenny the Shark was a very good series. The only problem is it ended earlier than when it should have, because technically they stated that there was supposed to be another version of the series, but they didn't go through with it. They just canceled it immediately. Now, if you guys are also wondering, what did Kenny the Shark technically talk about? Well, as I said, it technically talked about sea life. But not just sea life, also the animals. In fact, yes, Kenny the Shark, it does resemble a tiger shark. Not a great white, it's a tiger shark. It's confusing, I know. Plus, as well, they also, in each episode sometimes, they actually do have these different groups of, well, what you might call villains, but I wouldn't want to call them villains. But as well, they also talk about different sharks, different whales, whatever you want to call them. And as well, the series was pretty good. The only downfall of it is no one remembers it. In fact, the series died off a while on, in which, that's what I kind of makes me a little sad about it. It kind of gave us an intuition on animals a little bit more. In fact, it actually talked a lot about animals, but you get the point. Okay, now this other one. Now this one I believe I love the most, actually, when it comes to the learning board. It's actually called Growing Up Creepy. Now, Growing Up Creepy is, well, you guys might wonder, wait, what's that on the cover? Well, those are bugs, and yes, she is a goth kid. That's the thing about it. Technically, this is actually a girl who's raised by bugs. No, yeah. And you guys might be wondering, wait, why was she raised by bugs? Well, she's an orphan, yada yada yada, get the whole point. Now, the series actually talks about bugs, and not just bugs, but also some animal-eating bugs, such as, say, bluebird or something like that. Or as well, it even talks about the bugs and what they do. Now, my mother actually loved this show a lot because Creepy's mother is technically a praying mantis, and her dad's a mosquito. In which they do have an episode on that, on the mosquitoes, and on what's the difference between them, how the males and females are different. But as well, another reason my mother loved this is because they actually had a Scottish episode. I know. But yeah, they do have a lot of bugs in this, and they talk about them. But actually, that's not even the coolest part. Later on, soon after the episode ends, it's actually stated and each one of the episodes, as soon as one episode ends, they actually have a little tiny education box that tells you on what these bugs do. Now, it's not like Grossology when they talk about the entire thing through the episode. It actually comes out after the episode. That way, you technically stick around for the presentation. In fact, it talks about centipedes, talks about this and that. And in fact, this show technically might protect your kid from doing something stupid. For example, messing with a wasp hive. We don't want that. No. Or as well having them pick up a centipede and having it bite them. Yeah. I think we already know one YouTuber. What was his name? I can't remember, but pretty much he's pretty much right here if you guys know him. And in fact, I'll even put his link down below for you guys to just cringe at his videos. But dude, really, come on, what is wrong with you? Ugh. I don't know if he was inspired by the show, but I really wouldn't do that. Ugh. But yeah, they also got tarantulas. They got dung beetles, roly-polies, which is what I used to call them. And in fact, that actually is one of her Creepy's brothers. His name is Polly. He's supposed to be a little roly-poly, as a lot of people named him back then. They don't just have, but as well, there are a lot of bugs in here that are kind of cool. They also have jumping beans, which is a nickname for a type of bug. Yes, don't ask. But yeah, there are some bugs in here that are kind of cool. Which, it's kind of cool actually that they do actually have a lot of them. Now, there are some things that just don't make any sense in the series, but you kind of get used to it. And when you watch it, you kind of get used to it, so yeah. But there are a lot of things that people miss about the series that they never truly got. The series was technically probably one of the best I view as one of, well, series on knowledge when it comes to bugs, because not that many people know something about a bug. All they know is how to squish it. That's it. But yeah, there are a lot of them. In fact, they even have some about the walking stick, the praying mantis. And in fact, if you guys also want to, you can actually watch this at night if you want. That way your kid can both a little terrified, but as well, at the same time, pleased in education. One way to... But as well, they even had one about cockroaches. I don't know if any of you guys are a fan of that or not, but they have a hissing roach and regular roaches. So yeah. Ugh. But yeah, they have a lot. Alright, now let's get moving. Now this is a type of series that technically came out during the same time of, well, as the Mummy movie, but it never got that many views, or, well, technically it did, and at the same time it didn't, and it's called Tutenstein. Now, Tutenstein is not like what you might think. You guys might think, oh, we're going to venture back in ancient Egypt. Well, both a yes and a no. In fact, this series only focuses on, well, let's just say the mythology about ancient Egypt. In fact, it goes from one point area to the other, in which it's kind of cool because they have the ancient god of dead, the god of the underworld, Set, and which technically that's actually the cool part. They don't just have him; they also got Horus and such, yada yada yada. Get the whole point. But the thing about this is they talk about the evolution of King Tut. Now, if you guys are wondering, wait, why is he a kid? Well, technically that's the thing. They're trying to make a joke. They're trying to make it look as though he's a kid for kids. Now, though the series was pretty good, in which they did actually have a lot of characters and such. They had a lot of good models. Though there was one time when Tut is actually brought up to his adult age, and that was technically the age he died. But that was only in one episode, so yeah, I won't count. But yeah, the cool thing about the entire series is, like, with Set actually trying to kill off Tut in order to gain control of the scepter. Now, though, the series also does show some ancient rituals or whatever, such as this and that, but it does make sense. In fact, they also got some of the type of animals that would have been used against them, and as well the type of ancient mythology mostly. In fact, that's what it talks about. In fact, a bunch of you guys were fans of the Assassin's Creed Origins. Now you might as well watch this series. That way you guys can see more about the history of ancient Egypt and their mythology. In fact, also parents, this way you can also get your kids to actually read a book. Because this series is probably one of the best in ancient mythology based. The only problem about it is that the series didn't last that long, so yeah. But still, the series was pretty good. Anyways, guys, see that one and talk back to me about that. Alright, now on to our final one. None other than my favorite of them all, Time Warp Trio. Time Warp Trio is pretty much what I call a fun watching type of series. Well, I say series, but technically they only had one season. So yeah. The reason they only had one season is because people were looking on to more idealistic ideas. And pretty much most of the characters that were supposed to be doing the voices were going to be replaced because some of them went off or not saying again, so it's kind of depressing. Now, if you guys are wondering, how does this happen? Well, technically, let's just say one of the characters gets a book from his uncle, yada yada yada. The next thing you know, they venture into the first episode, they venture into Blackbeard the Pirate era. In other words, the first episode is from Blackbeard the Pirate, and as well the last episode is in medieval Scotland, during the time of David Bruce. Now, you guys might wonder, well, what else type of characters have they got? Are they just going through the entire era trying to get back home? No, in each episode they end up back home. In fact, they even got one about Mary Shelley, which is the author of Frankenstein. In fact, they even go to ancient India, they even go to meet Genghis Khan when he's a young boy, which, yeah, it's kind of cool. They even go to ancient Rome with the Gladiator Arena, the ancient Olympics, even. In fact, there are a lot of cool things about this series. In fact, they even go into the ancient Aztec Empire. They even go into the Renaissance, and none other during the time of Leonardo da Vinci in Italy. And as well, you probably might see another couple of guys in there, probably from, say, what was it? If I remember correctly, his name was from Assassin's Creed. It was either technically one of the Ezio Auditore ones, blah blah blah, in which when he's in Rome, and guess what? We get to see the same guy, Machiavelli. If you guys don't know about this guy, if you guys seen him in the Assassin's Creed, he's actually he's pretty much a lot more important in history than he is in Assassin's Creed. But yeah. Now as well, they even go to ancient Easter Island even, and as well they even go to ancient Egypt. Now that's actually kind of cool actually. And as well they even go to the time of the ancient Sioux, or during the time of the Sioux Nation, fighting against the United States Bluecoats. As well they even go along, the Western Trail, which later on is seen in history as one of the most famous parts with Sacagawea. Now it's not just with 3 boys, it's also with 3 girls who are technically their great, I know it's confusing, granddaughters or whatever. But as well, they don't just go to these areas in Europe, they also go into Asia. In fact, they go into ancient China and as well in ancient samurai era Japan. Though Sam does get the fucked up thing about how a samurai sword can cut through steel. No, don't believe that bullshit. That is not true at all. Now, the series was fun to watch, and yes, there is always this one evil villain called Mad Jack. He's technically the other uncle. He's the evil uncle. It's complicated. Let's just leave it at that. But as well, they even go into other eras as well. In fact, if I remember correctly, they even meet none other than Napoleon Bonaparte. And now, also, they even have this type of idea on there. In fact, this is actually long before the Alternate History Hub came out as being known as a YouTube channel. In fact, this is what happens. They kind of do an alternate history thing, such as if Napoleon won the Battle of Waterloo. What would it look like? Well, that's what they show. In fact, it makes sense. In fact, I'll even put a link down below for alternate history up. But now, the series is pretty cool, actually. In fact, it even shows pretty much also the discovery of the Norsemen discovering America. In other words, Leif Erikson and company. In fact, the series was so cool, I kind of fell in love with it. But as well, they even had one about Neolithic Man, which was pretty cool, and as well also colonial age Africa. In other words, they go back in time to colonial time Africa when the Portuguese come. And they even have the lost mystery of Amelia Earhart, which that's another cool part. Now, they also have Peter the Great, which is we already know that lunatic. Sorry, Russia, he kind of was. In fact, you could probably see why in one of the episodes. But as I say, guys, watch these. Get your kids to watch these these series when it comes to the summer vacation. Otherwise, they're not going to learn anything by watching those idiotic cartoons that don't make any sense. Now, I will post a link down below for you guys, so that way you guys can watch them yourselves. And as well, if you guys want me to talk about any of these series alone, be my guest to put them down in the comments below, and I will get to them eventually. Anyways, guys, hopefully you like this, and have a good day.